going to do a couple of videos to take you through chapter 12. Can't do it in school because I can't actually get into school, so I won't have the board behind me and be working from that, but I'll talk you through the intro and then show you through the PowerPoint and do some questions for you on paper. This is take 3, so hopefully I'll get it right, otherwise we'll be here all day. Chapter 12, ratio and proportion, goes back to chapter 5 where we did fractions, decimals, percentages. So that's the 3 ways you can express the proportion. Proportion apart, so something is half of something, that is an idea of a proportion. Ratio is a new idea that we're introducing in section 2, 12.2, and that's not to be confused with fractions because they are different things. We'll talk about more in actual second video when I go on to 12.2. But right now we'll just be looking at working out fractions, percentages and proportions of amounts. So I rather cleverly paused the video so I can now turn it around smoothly and start showing you through the PowerPoint. I want to thank my able camera person, my daughter Katie, but I'm doing the rest now. Chapter 12, ratio and proportion. These are the ones we looked at in chapter 5. Hopefully you can remember these. It'll be really useful for the non-calculator paper in particular. Not too worried about remembering the 12th or the 8th, although the 8th is quite useful. An 8th is a half of a quarter. So if we look at a quarter, it's 25%. Half of that is 12.5%. Be good to speed up your calculations and also help you through the non-calculator work. Also important to remember that 10% is 10 out of 100. Percentage means per cent, per 100. So 10% is 10 per 100. That can be simplified because you can divide 10 by 10 to get 1 and 100 by 10 to get 10. So 10 over 100 is equal to 1 over 10, and that is 0.1. So a pretty straightforward calculation to do to work out 10%. You divide by 10 or you times by 0.1, gives you the same sort of answer. We've got examples there that we did in chapter 5. That, as I say, is then useful to working out things like 20%, because you can work out 10% and then double it. If you're wanting to work out 30%, you can work out 10% and treble it, times it by 3. We'll look at more complex ones when we get to the non-calculator paper practice that we'll be looking at. But now we'll actually take you through using some of these skills on the questions from the book, which hopefully you're looking at in Caboodle. So 12.1s, this is question 2. Samantha winning 4,500 in a competition and giving her mum 3rd and her sister a 5th. To work out the 3rd and the 5th, we're just going to multiply by those fractions. So we've got the 4,500 that we're going to multiply by 1/3. Multiplying by a fraction, you times by the number at the top, so we're going to times by 1, divide by the number at the bottom, so we divide by 3. So in effect we've got 4,500 multiplied by 1, 4,500, divided by 3 gives me an answer of 1,500 being given to Samantha's mum. And then we've got 4,500 multiplied by a 5th, which is going to her sister. So multiply that by 1, 4,500, divide by 5 gives me 900. Sorry for me untidy writing, but it's a bit tricky when I'm holding the camera. So if we work out these two amounts added up, 1,500 and 900 gives me a total of 2,400 that she's giving away. But read the question A, how much does she keep? Show your working. This is my working that I've shown. So to work out how much she keeps, she's got 4,500 to start with. She's given away 2,400, so she's keeping 2,100. So mathematically not too tricky. The main thing about questions like this in the exam or in the book is to actually read it. How much did she keep? Not how much did she give away, how much does she keep. So this is my key thing to get for the actual full marks on the correct answer. B, what proportion of the prize money does she give away? Normally in an exam question, if you start off with a fraction at the beginning of the question, it will want a proportion as a fraction at the end. This is an exercise where we're practicing these skills, so it's actually asking for a fraction and as a percentage. But you will need to work out the decimal as well to get from one to the other. So anyway, we've got how much does she give away. Well, in total we worked out she gave away 2,400, and we need that 2,400 out of the total amount she had, 4,500. So as a fraction we're going to need to simplify this to get full marks. We can take off both those noughts because they're on the top and bottom, so that leaves me 24 over 45. Is there a number that goes into 24 and 45? To make it simpler, yes, 3 goes into both of those, so that leaves me with 8 over 15, because 3 into 24 is 8 and 3 into 45 is 15. Nothing goes into 8 and 15, so that is my final answer for the fraction. To work out the percentage, I'm going to use a calculator, borrowed off my daughter, because he's studying pink, so I need to I need to divide the 8 by 15 to change that fraction into a decimal. So 8 divided by 15 gives me that on the calculator, 8 over 15. To get it into a decimal, use that SD button down there, change it in decimal, 0.53. The 3's got a dot over it. I hope you remember that means recurring. So 33333. If you're doing percentages, normally doing it to one decimal place is enough. So we've got 0.5333 because that's what recurring means. To get that decimal, it's down there. To get that decimal to a percentage, we multiply by 100. So that's going to be 53.3 recurring percent. If you've got any questions, you can email me, school email. Use your school email, so make sure I do recognise it as a pupil from the school. Now going to move on to question 3. Hopefully you're looking at this in the book, and again I'll show you the working out on paper. By the end of this I could be mathematics answer to Joe Wicks, who knows, but we'll see how the camera work goes. Dairy farmer has 200 cheeses to sell. In the first hour she sells 20%. So we've got 200 cheeses and I want 20% of those. So to work out 20%, we can do it in a couple of ways. We can either multiply by the fraction, which is the same as 20%, which is 20 over 100. So again, remember, if we're working out a fraction, we multiply by the top, divide by the bottom. 200 divided by 100 is 2. 2 times 20, that will give me 40. Your other option is to change that percentage into a decimal. Hopefully you remember that 20% is 0.2, so we multiply that by 0.2, and again gives me the same answer, 40%. In the second hour, she sells 15% of those that are left. So again, this is a key thing that we need to do. We need to read the question, those that are left. If she sold 40, that means we've got 160 left. So I'm working out 15% of 160, not 15% of the 200. So 160 multiplied by 0.15, which I just worked out in the calculator, comes out to be 24. So A, how many cheeses sold in total? In total we've sold 40 in the first hour, 24 in the second hour, so in total we've got an answer of 64. B, what percentage of the original number of cheeses did she sell in the first 2 hours? So she sold 64, and it's always that 64 out of the total amount I started with. So 64 out of 200. I'm sure many of you are going to be reaching for the calculator, but I, as an old mathematician, can simply divide the top and bottom by 2. So I get 32 over 100, and recognise that percentages are out of 100, so that means she sold 32%. Last question I'll take you through, and then you should be working through 12.1s. As ever, don't do the ones that are easy and you know, do the ones that you don't know. When you're happy with all the skills in 12.1s, move on to 12.1a, the actual application skills. So question 8, A and B, I'll take you through those now on paper. This really requires a bit of arithmetic skill, something you will need to practice, many of you. Effectively, if we're looking for the missing number to go here, what have I done to 16 to get it to be equal to 18? Look for a common factor, something that goes into both of those. Well, 2 goes into both of those. It's the only one that I can see, only number I can see will go into both of those. 2 goes into both of those. So if I divided that by 2, I would get 8. Okay, if I divided that by 2, I'd get 9. So they're still not actually equivalent. So what I've got to think is I divide this by 8 to get it down to be 2, and then I have to times that 2 by 9 to get it to be equal to 18. So 16 divided by 8 is 2, and then multiplied by 9 gets me to equal that 18. So going this way, I divided by 8 and then multiplied by 9. If I'm going to go the other way, I've got to do the opposite. So first of all, I've got to divide that by 9, because that's the opposite of multiply by 9, which is quite useful. 45 divided by 9 comes out to be 5. And then I have to multiply by 8, because that's the opposite of divide by 8. So 45 divided by 9 gives me 5, and then 5 multiplied by 8 gives me 40. If you want to double check that, if you do 16 divided by 40 and 18 divided by 45, you'll find they come out to be the same decimal. Okay, similarly on 18 over 45 to 20 over something, what I've actually done is I've gone from 20 to 18. I'm going to have to think about that one, and then that would show me how to do the opposite going that way. So to go from 20 to 18 is quite similar. I'm going to have to divide that by 10 to make it equal to 2, and then multiply by 9 to get it equal to 18. So to go the opposite way from 45 to what's going to be missing one there, opposite of multiply by 9, divide by 9. Again, it's quite handy. That divided by 9 is 5. Opposite of divide by 10, times by 10. So 5 times 10 comes out to be 50. So in fact, that's quite a nice one to simplify. You can see they all should be able to simplify down to 2/5. Okay, that now is taking you through all the questions. So I just got slightly mismatched on there, but working on paper and holding a phone and trying to remember everything I'm doing, it's all a bit too much for a man of my age. Alright, hope you're all well. Take care, stay safe and enjoy the maths. I'm going to be posting 2 more videos to take you through 12.2 and 12.3, and I'm expecting these to take this week and next week at least, and then there'll be some Hecate tasks to actually practice that. Alright, take care, bye bye.